So Louisiana, as of tonight, is now the first state to require the 10 Commandments to be displayed in every public school classroom in the state after the governor signed this controversial bill into law. And it gets pretty specific, saying the commandments have to be on a poster-sized display with font that's easy to read. The governor seems to be spoiling for the legal fight here, and it looks like he will get it, with a bunch of civil liberties groups, including the ACLU, saying in just the last couple of hours, wait a second, this is not constitutional, and that they're planning to sue. Vaughn Hilliard is joining us now with more.
Right, Hallie. Look, we have seen some of these conservative states go and challenge what has previously been decided by the U.S. Supreme Court. In this situation, back in 1980, the U.S. Supreme Court, they ruled against a Kentucky measure that would have required public classrooms to have the 10 Commandments inside of the classrooms. And yet 45 years have passed. It is a different Supreme Court with a conservative lean to it. And the conservative legislature and Republican Governor Landry, who signed this measure into law, made the conscious decision that they're going to go and try to challenge that. Now, the ACLU, to note, and other organizations have already indicated that they intend to file a lawsuit in which they say, in part, quote, the law violates the separation of church and state and is blatantly unconstitutional. Politicians have no business imposing their preferred religious doctrine on students and families in public schools. So we've seen other Republican states consider this type of measure here, but they haven't gone forward with it, knowing that it would face a legal lawsuit. But for now, in the state of Louisiana, these public classrooms from kindergarten all the way through universities are going to be required to have a poster-sized version of the 10 Commandments posted inside of these classrooms.
Welcome, everyone, to the Wake Up Call channel. Do not be deceived by stories like this. This is what you call gaslighting. This is what you call tickling of the ears. For any Christians out there who are seeing a story like this and not realizing that they're being baited, well, they better wake up, because great deceptions are going to continue to come. And this is something that we can clearly see if we use our eyes and we use our ears, that this is a way to bait Christians into states like Louisiana. All of a sudden, we're supposed to believe in a world that has gone completely upside down, a world that is so far removed from God, a world where everybody is divided. You can't see a story like this is an easy way to manipulate and gaslight Christians and also gaslight the other side into separating away from states like Louisiana. Because this is the first time, I believe, since 1962, where they banned Bible reading in America's public schools because they declared it unconstitutional. They separated church and state. So why all of a sudden is this even being allowed? This isn't even a hot topic right now where people are walking around holding up picket signs saying, we want the 10 Commandments in schools. We haven't heard anybody even bring attention to a story like this. We haven't heard anybody out there in the public square, so to speak, yelling and screaming to have the 10 Commandments put in schools. Now, obviously, I agree that all schools should have the 10 Commandments, but I don't even believe there should be a schooling system set up the way that it is, because all you do is learn nonsense that's not important and a fake history of the world. But that's a different story for a different day. Obviously, any Christian out there who sees this should be skeptical. Because take a look at the world around us. Then ask yourself, who is actually demanding and asking for this? Are Christians running around asking for this? No, of course not. These are the types of things I brought up, just like Roe v. Wade. These puppets in Congress, who are they're all completely compromised, are doing these things to herd people like pawns. They are trying to move them around like chess pieces, or herd them like cattle, I should say, right? You have states that are now pro-life, anti-life. All of a sudden, Roe v. Wade's reversed in some states. All of a sudden, they have all these commercials and propaganda out there telling you, hey, if you come into our conservative state and you're trying to get an abortion, well, you'll be thrown in prison. And people are going, what? Huh? I can't go to that state. It's a fascist state, et cetera, et cetera. It's done deliberately. We can now probably put Louisiana on a checklist of states that are going to identify as conservative honeypots that people are going to be lured into, because Christians will hear this and they'll say, well, this is great. We have just like Ron DeSantis, we have a conservative governor in place. They're not going to do any of that woke crap. In fact, they're going to force the 10 Commandments into the school system. And that's exactly what we need. This is baiting 101. And just like I said, Roe v. Wade, these anti-gay laws, they're using these things strategically. Nobody's even asking for these types of things to be done. They're doing this to gaslight the opposing side and lure the conservative side, in this case, into moving to a state like Louisiana or wanting to be in a state like Louisiana and thinking that the leadership in Congress cares about Christians and they're setting them up for destruction. I can't emphasize it enough. None of these people care at all about any of us. And they're not doing this because they're trying to get votes. The Louisiana governor isn't doing this. He isn't signing a law to put the 10 Commandments in all classrooms in Louisiana because he wants more votes this year. Your vote doesn't count. These are psychological tactics that they're using to maneuver us. And people out there still aren't getting it. They're going, oh, they can't do that. Oh, that's not going to work out like that. Yeah, until the hot topic or hot button topic they pick is something that affects you, right? This might not affect you. You might hear this and say, well, I would never move there because they have the 10 Commandments in schools. But little by little, when you start hearing stories about, well, you know, in this state, they're giving lap dances to kids in school. I don't want to go to that. I can't have my kids in that school, right? Don't forget the mandates, those types of stories that infringe on your rights, that infringe on your day-to-day life. Government overreach 101. So Louisiana public schools are now required to display the 10 Commandments in all classrooms after Republican Governor Jeff Landry, Jesuit, signed the requirement into law Wednesday. House Bill 71, approved by state lawmakers last month, mandates that a poster-sized display of the 10 Commandments with large, easily readable font be in every classroom at schools that receive state funding from kindergarten through the university level. Now, of course, this is going to bring on lawsuits, right? This is exactly what we've been talking about. Remember, when I say the infrastructure has to be destroyed, it means all laws, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, everything as we know it has to be brought down. So they're bringing all these things up to destroy, right? I talked about the Satanists, the Satanic Temple, going to schools, trying to get their after-school Satan program into the school. Why? Because they're sitting there and they're going, if you have anything involving God in school, we're going to bring Satan into school. So you're going to have to show your hand, and we're going to have to change the Constitution because you can't have, if you're allowed to have Christians, then you got to be allowed to have Satanists, right? And everybody's looking around going, well, what are we supposed to do? Oh, well, now the Satanists are suing the school board. Now the Satanists are suing the state. It's to demolish everything as we know it, and rebuild, the phoenix rising from the ashes. So House Bill 71, approved by state lawmakers last month, mandates that a poster-sized display of the 10 Commandments, again, will be in every classroom up to the university level. The legislation specifies the exact language that must be printed on the classroom displays and outlines that the text of the 10 Commandments must be the central focus of the poster or frame document. Before signing the bill, Landry called it, quote, one of his favorites. If you want to respect the rule of law, he said, you got to start from the original law, given which was Moses. He got his commandments from God. Okay, all things that sound great, right? We're all of us, the majority of people listen to my channel are Christians. There's, of course, some people who don't believe in Christ, who should. Everything they see going on, they should realize is biblical, right? They should see that. That's the reason that I keep doing this, is to try to wake them up to all of this stuff is spiritual. This is all prophecy playing out. But you could bet your bottom dollar that this is what you would call baiting people, okay? Him even saying that. How many Christians out there hear that and they're like, I like that. I like what's going on in Louisiana. You know, they're putting the 10 Commandments. Yeah, and are you thinking ahead? Are you thinking, why are they doing it? Are you thinking, why all of a sudden in a world that's gone completely upside down? Completely upside down? Oh, right. You think that, well, it's just the Democrats who are upside down, the conservatives who are all members of the same secret societies, who are all Freemasons you never hear anybody ever talk about except people like me, all who their teachings say, oh, that Lucifer's the god of this world. Lucifer's the one that they worship, right? So then they go out there, they pretend to be Republican, even though they have the entire Congress compromised, and they say, well, we got to make sure people are on board with us. People got to go to these states that we want you to go to. Right? We want you to move away from Democrats because they're so unhinged and insane, you can't live among them anymore. Every day that goes by, people are more convinced of that. By more of the lunacy we see the government deliberately normalizing. They know exactly what they're doing. What do you think? The government, when they do this stuff, and they say, oh, these kids are going to castrate themselves, that they don't expect people's hair to turn white and to go, are you joking me? They know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. They're masters of mind control. We're in the middle of this experiment that they've mastered. None of the things that are happening are getting out are leaking out, or nobody's doing stuff like this because they're breaking away from the government, from the CIA, from the secret societies. They're doing this deliberately. They'd be whacked. They'd be gone if they were trying to break free. None of them are, but they want to keep you gate-kept. It's gatekeeping, right? They want to keep you stuck in the left-right paradigm so that you invest your emotions, you invest yourself in the Republican Party, thinking that these leaders are going to lead you away from this corruption, and they're going to lead you into a honeypot. And in that honeypot, you're going to be sitting ducks for all sorts of attacks. The beginning of potentially World War III with Trump as the leader. We're talking about weaponized weather. Places like Louisiana, they know all about weaponized weather, don't they? Don't you ever hear stories about anything that happened in Louisiana being weaponized weather, right, over the years? Florida, honeypots. That's what they are. So, of course he brings up, he's got, the sentence in itself, you could just hear this guy, if you want to respect the rule of law, you got to start from the original law given, which was Moses. He got his commandments from God. You could just see how that would drive Democrats insane to not even want to live in a state like that, and how conservatives would just fall for that. And they'd be like, yes, I agree. Well, we all do agree with that, but we don't trust you. We don't trust any of these people in power because none of them are elected. None of them. They are not elected. It's over, okay? Elections are not real. They're fully compromised. They have been for a long time. In fact, most believe they never were real in the first place, and I agree with that, okay? But you can guarantee in 2024 that your vote does not count. So all this stuff about you making change is propaganda to empower you. So blood is on your hands when they decide to say, well, you asked for this. You went to red states. You went with Trump. And now you're in World War III. You asked for it. You asked for it. You're getting duped into all this stuff if you fall for it. So opponents of the bill have argued that a state requiring a religious text in all classrooms would violate the Establishment Clause of the U.S. Constitution, which says that Congress can make no law respecting an establishment of religion. Civil liberty groups swiftly vowed to challenge the law, which makes Louisiana the first in the nation to require the Ten Commandments be displayed in every classroom that receives state funding in court. The American Civil Liberties Union, the American Civil Liberties Union of Louisiana, Americans United for Separation of Church and State, and the Freedom from Religion Foundation said that the law violates long-standing Supreme Court precedent and the First Amendment and will result in unconstitutional religious coercion of students, okay? Look at the fine line there, right? Long-standing Supreme Court precedent. Isn't that a common theme that we're seeing? Long-standing Supreme Court precedent all being overturned, right? And what's the thing that we're seeing? Well, the Supreme Court is pretending to be conservatives who love God, who are Christian, right? So they're all of a sudden they're standing up. They're all Trump people, right? They're standing up against abortion, even though Trump used to be pro-abortion. Right? Oh, they're opposing some gay rights, things like that. It's so easy to see how these people are gaslighting everybody out there, right? So long-standing Supreme Court precedent, okay, being overturned. That's the common thing we're hearing because the Supreme Court is going to be the first thing that gets nuked as they nuke the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, bringing down the Supreme Court, bringing down the House and the Senate. I've talked about that. Why you see these people acting the way they're acting with cameras on them in the House. Boebert, Matt Gaetz, the show that they're putting on, the circus that is Congress. It looks like a high school drama class. They go up there, they grab the microphone, they point fingers at each other, they make fun of each other. Everybody out there thinks that it's real. And they're going, oh my goodness, this is what's going on in Congress, right? They're watching it like it's the Jerry Springer show because they're deliberately nuking all of this stuff. It's called sabotage. That's what you're seeing happen. Nobody realizes that's the word. That's the word of our life right now, sabotage. Because every single thing that's happening is for sabotage purposes. They are sabotaging our government structure. It does not function in New World Order. AI governance has no constitution that is for the people. There is no Bill of Rights. There is no freedom, right? There's no gun rights. There's no free speech. We've seen all this stuff slowly getting removed, okay? There's not going to be certain rules in America in a New World Order than certain rules and laws in Australia. It might look a little bit different at first, but they're going to have laws in place and people are just going to go on with it. They're like, oh, there's new gun laws. Oh, okay. It's not like they're going to come and grab everybody's guns right off the bat, but they're going to pass legislation. The most important, of course, is going to be gun laws that say that people like me and you who are conspiracy theorists have mental health problems so that they should be able to come confiscate ours based on what we read online or say online. That's what they're going to do. So they say supporters of the law in defending the measure, have leaned on the 2022 U.S. Supreme Court decision in Kennedy versus Bremerton School District, which gave a high school football coach's job back after he was disciplined over a controversy involving prayer on the field. The Supreme Court ruled that the coach's prayers amounted to private speech protected by the First Amendment. The decision lowered the bar between church and state in an opinion that legal experts predicted would allow more religious expression in public spaces. That's exactly what the red states are going to have. It's going to just lure Christians in. The people they want to wipe out the most are Christians. That's who they're targeting and going after, okay? This New World Order, they know, does not function with Christians in it. Every time they've tried to create this communist global order, the target has been Christians. Why? Because Christians are opposed to it. Why? Because everything in the Bible speaks against the New World Order. You can go back to the Tower of Babel. That's what they're literally trying to recreate. So they know that Christians will be opposed to it. So what better way to go after Christians than have them sitting ducks in certain states where you know that, all right, all the armed people are in this state, all the Christians are in this state, all the Christians, all the people who are opposed to the way that we want to do things are sitting right here, Louisiana and Florida and Texas. Oh, wait a minute, all of a sudden, Putin and Trump aren't getting along anymore. All of a sudden, China's involved. All of a sudden, troops are coming in off the shores of the liberal states or wherever, right, through their borders. And all of a sudden, all the Christians, conservatives who put all their faith in these leaders who are all corrupt and compromised, suddenly are going to be thinking twice about it. Don't fall for stuff like this. These are just, look at the world around you right now. Look how inverted this world is. And you think for one second, that these people in Congress have any of our best interests in mind? And again, what is the notion that they have? That this guy's doing this because he wants to get votes? What do you think? This guy's some type of major Christian conservative? You never even heard of him before. All of a sudden, he's just like, yeah, I want to bring the 10 Commandments in. Who asked for it? Nobody, right? Not that I don't want the 10 Commandments in school, but has anybody been screaming for it? Is this a topic we've all been discussing every day? Hey, today let's talk more about getting the 10 Commandments in schools. I think we've all pretty much grown up realizing that there is a separation between church and state, so there isn't going to be a 10 Commandments in school, right? We all realize that. Most of us went to school, there was not the 10 Commandments. Now, all of a sudden, in a society where you have freaks all over the place, you have unhinged psychopaths, you have people castrating themselves, all of a sudden, these people care about the 10 Commandments? Yeah, this is a trap. Don't fall for it. Again, this plays right into the left-right paradigm. And anybody out there that sees this stuff and smiles and they go, yes, God's working through these people. Right. They always miss out on all those Bible verses about deceivers, liars, like their father, the devil. They just never see those things, right? Like Matthew chapter 24, verse 24. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that even if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Now, I'm not saying that that's what this is, because this isn't some type of false Christ, false prophet, and this isn't some kind of sign or wonder. But the Bible even tells us that the elect could be deceived. Okay, so these are very simple things that people see. They should look at all these guys and go, you know what? That's the mindset we need to have. That's why the alt-right media is so important to them. They keep all these people into loving their conservative politicians. And the more the conservative politicians do stuff like this, the more support they get. Because they're using this stuff. This is what a normal society should look like, right? We should all be functioning based on the Bible and the 10 Commandments, okay? That's what the world should look like. They know that this is the easiest way to dupe Christians. Well, in a chaotic world, continue to use the Bible to lure Christians into places like Louisiana, where most Christians don't even know of weaponized weather. They don't know any of it. They're living their everyday lives, distracted by nonsense. Then they hear stuff like this, like, that's great. That's great. God's working through this guy, right? Maybe the devil's working through these people. I'm sick of hearing people come over to my channel and they're like, oh, you're giving the weather stuff too much credit to them. God's in control. Yeah, God is in control. No doubt about it. But what, you don't think that with free will that God hasn't given free will to all of us so that we could discern these things, we could see these things? Okay, if God wants to intercept one of their hurricanes or tornadoes or whatever they're doing, of course God's going to intercept it and stop it from happening. Okay? But for you to think that they don't have the ability to do this stuff, that they don't manipulate, of all things like this story, that they don't manipulate. They're like their father, the devil, right? What's the Bible verse? Let's wrap it with that. John chapter 8, verse 44. Ye are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. And so are all these people in Congress who are baiting you into falling into their honeypots. Don't. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you as always, and your families.